So hi everybody, my name is Yuliya and I'm an Android developer at jet.com. For those of you who do not know, jet.com is an e-commerce company with a lot of savings and great discounts. And last year, before Google I/O, we launched our first multi-feature Instant App, which was a huge success. And today I would love to share with you all our experience and provide some practical tips on how you can make your apps instant. But before we actually do a deep tech dive about how to build instant apps and how it works, let's probably talk about why we need instant apps and what problems it actually solves. So let's take a step back and talk about mobile evolution. You probably remember those first built-in applications in black and white, those snake games, calculators. So not much fun, but still they were our first apps. Then we stepped into the era of mobile web, right? And mobile web opened up a lot of opportunities for us to browse the internet and basically look for the information we needed. But the experience was still painful, right? The text got cut off sometimes, the images didn't render correctly. So later we stepped into the era of the so-called optimized mobile web pages. And currently most of the features that are being supported on the desktop versions are being supported on mobile web. And pretty much simultaneously, we started to enjoy native applications, right? The so-called store apps. And we love our Google Play, right? There are applications for almost every use case in life, right? It's awesome. So we get a new device, we install an app, we keep installing apps, keep installing, until we run into a space issue, right? How often does it happen to you when you're in the middle of a very important process, you're trying to install the app that you need right now, and then the system tells you no go. So you basically have to take a step back, go through all your media files, uninstall the apps, clean up your device, and get some more space. This is where Instant App shines. So Instant App is that new type of the application that does not require installation. So let's look how Instant App works in its core. So you can see on the launcher screen, I have my Jet installable application. I'm removing it from the app. I don't need it anymore, right? I don't have an installable application. I'm opening Google Chrome, and I need a camera. So I'm typing Jet camera, and I can see that, I'm sorry about that, I can see that there is a gray text instant, right? Very close to the links. So what it basically tells the users that once the user clicks on the link, Instant App is being served to the device. So just within a few seconds, right, the truly native application has been downloaded on the device. So the users didn't have to go to Google Play Store to install something, right? Everything is super seamless, super fast, super performant. So when we think about Instant App, this is a new type of the application that absorbs the benefits of both worlds. So from the mobile world, we take space-friendly character and no need to install the application, right? So once the user clicks on the URL address, the application is being downloaded on the device. It lives there as long as the user keeps using the application. Once the user stops using it and the system is under memory pressure, the application is being wiped off from the device. So everything is very seamless. The process of installing and uninstalling the device is handed over to the system. Now the system is responsible for keeping mind of what applications are probably old and not really necessary anymore on the device. But at the same time, Instant App is a truly native application. So it has its material design, navigation, and other native features that our users are so accustomed to. So we as developers probably love the idea of Instant App, but does it really mean that we have to create a separate app and support it together with our installable application? No. So currently, Instant App is sharing the same code base with your regular installable application. So you don't have to worry about creating a new application and support both of them. Instant App in its core is a multi-module project. So what I mean by that is that instead of having one app module where most of the stuff would live, we would need to break our application into multiple modules. And I know probably it sounds a little bit abstract. I will definitely dive into how to do everything step by step in the later slides. So as you've seen from the demo, Instant App is a super fast, right, and quick experience. So there are some constraints that we have to adhere to. And one of the constraints is a size limit. So currently every module within your Instant App has to be under 4 megabyte size limit. And I know most of you are thinking, well, my application is over 20 megabyte size. Probably this is not for me. So this is what was my first thought when I took over Instant App project at Jet.com. And believe me, it was pretty challenging, but everything is possible. So that number 4 megabyte size limit is not really a magical number. We were able to slim down our application from 17 megabytes to up to a little bit less than 4 megabytes. And I definitely provide some practical tips on how you can do this in the later slides. Currently, Instant Apps are being supported on the API level 23 and up. Google is working to support Instant Apps on API on lower level APIs. One of the specificity of Instant App is it is URL responsive. So in order to launch your Instant App, you have to create a URL address, and basically the user clicks on the URL address, and Instant App is being served to the device. So one of the questions that I recently got is, okay, I'm building my Instant App, but how do I embed it into a browser? Because you've seen from the demo, right, that Instant App is being launched from the Chrome. So actually, you don't really have to do anything with Chrome, a browser. The process is a little bit different. So what happens under the hood? You created a unique Instant App URL address. In my case, it is https://jet.com. When the user clicks on the URL address, it's being sent to the Google Play Store. And then Google Play Store is trying to find a matching Instant App APK. If the Google Play Store is able to find the APK, it's being served to the device, and user can enjoy a lovely Instant App experience. If Google Play Store is not able to find a matching Instant App APK, then the URL is being handed over to the system, and then the system handles the URL address like any other URLs. In most cases, user will land on mobile web application. When speaking about building this unique Instant App URL addresses, I would love to pay your attention to a very important detail. So you have to make sure that your URL addresses that you're building for your Instant App match with your mobile web URL addresses. And why is that important? So imagine we create a unique Instant App URL address. It doesn't have a matching URL address on your mobile web application. And then you take a KitKat device and you click on the Instant App URL. But we know that Instant Apps are not being supported on KitKat. In the previous slide, I mentioned that Instant App are being supported currently on the API 23 and above. So basically, the user will land on 404 page not found experience, right? Which is pretty bad. So we don't want to do this. So the best solution is to make sure your Instant App URL addresses match with your mobile web addresses, so that on the devices where Instant App is being supported, the users will download Instant App. Otherwise, users will backfall into your mobile web experience. And as you can probably guess, the way or the place where we're declaring our intents are within our Android manifest files. So within the manifest file, for each and every activity that is an entry point into your Instant App, we have to specify an intent filter. So an intent filter looks pretty much like any other deep link intent filter. You have to specify a scheme, you have to specify a host and path prefix. Make sure you will specify the action view and 2 categories, which is browsable and default. New tag that has been introduced by Instant Apps is Android order. And this tag is useful for the cases when you have 2 activities and both of them will basically respond to the same URL address. So to tell the system which activity is more important and will take the precedence over the other one, you have to specify Android order. So the activity with the higher order number will get launched over the other one. There are 2 types of Instant Apps. There is a multi-feature Instant App and there is a single-feature Instant App. And as you can probably guess from the image and from the names of the types of the applications, multi-feature Instant App is focused around building independent components that coexist next to each other. Single-feature Instant App is all about building one block where most of the code would live, and this is the foundation of your application. So let's probably discuss both types and approaches in more details. And let's start with the approach that is quite a little bit simpler. And this is a single feature Instant App. So imagine you have your application, you have one module, which is the app module, and all your code lives within app module. So in order to build an Instant App, the first step that you have to do is you need to add a new module to your project structure. And we'll give it a name, base module. Then we have to move all the code that used to live within the app module to the base module. The next step will be to provide the dependency of the app module to the base module. So our app module is pretty much empty at this point. We moved all of this stuff to the base module, and apps module responsibility is just to build an APK. Then the next step would be to add a new module, instant app, into the project structure. Again, it will be empty. It won't have any resources or source files. And then we have to provide the dependency of the instant app module on the base module. So as you can see, Instant App does not really require a lot of code change, right? It's more about shifting files around and basically tweaking some configurations. So in order to provide the dependency between different modules, there are certain configurations that we have to change within our build.gradle files. So let's look at the changes. Build.gradle file of the base module would have a new plugin applied, com.android.feature. Then we have to specify an attribute base feature to true within our default config of the Android closure. So, and why is that attribute important? It basically tells our application that the base module is the source of truth. So if other modules need something, all of that stuff will be pulled from the base module. So this feature, basically base feature configuration just points that the base module is the man here. Then in the dependencies block, you just have to specify all your library dependencies that you would usually do within the app module. Build.gradle file of the app module would have our well-known com.android.application, and in the dependencies block, we just have to tell app module that it depends on the base module, as you probably remember from the diagram. Build.gradle file of the instant app is very similar to the app module, so it will have a different plugin, which is com.android.instantApp. But in the dependencies block, you have to do the same thing as we've done in the app module, basically specify the dependency on the base module or base library. So once again, single feature instant app is a very easy and probably I would call it lightweight approach to build an instant app, experiment with this and see how it goes. So it's all about creating 2 new modules and shifting files around. But there is an issue with 4 megabyte size limit, right? Just because you have one base module, once you reach that 4 megabyte size limit within your base module, there is no really space to grow. You cannot add more code into your base module. There is no go for other features. And this is where multi-feature Instant App comes into play and solves the problem. So in multi-feature Instant App, instead of moving all the code from the app module into the base module, we're breaking all our logic into independent feature modules. So they're smaller, and there is no real limit to how many feature modules you would add within your application. So you can build as many feature modules as you would love, as long as they are under 4 megabyte size limit. So I know it probably sounds a little bit abstract, so let's take a look at Jet.com application and the features that are currently being supported within our instant application. So there is a PLP, or product list page, which provides a list of products a user is interested in. There is a PDP, or product detail page, focused around providing information about a specific product. There is a cart page, which basically is responsible for the checkout process. And there is an order detail page. An order detail page summarizes the most recently placed order. So all of those independent features, right, are being stored within this 4 feature modules, as you've seen. But as you can think probably about it more, right, those feature modules would still have the shared components, right, such as networking layer, right? You don't want to repeat retrofit stuff within each and every feature module. Or like analytics managers, probably some logging information or logic. So in order not to duplicate that stuff within the feature modules, we need to create a base module and then provide the dependency of the feature modules on the base module. So in base module, if you think about it, it's just a shared repository of the components that basically can be pulled by each individual feature modules. So it's the so-called shared repository or pool that will be useful for the feature modules. So right now, what we have really done, we just took our application and broke it into multiple modules. We didn't really build instant apps, right? And the process of building instant apps is very trivial. You're adding a new module, which is instant app module. Again, it's empty. It doesn't have any resources or source files. It's just responsible for building instant app APKs. And then you have to provide the dependency of the instant app module on the feature modules. And that's pretty much it. So once again, if you take a step back, our base module is the shared repository that basically has the components that will be reused by the feature modules. The second level is the feature modules, totally independent components, which will be pulled on the device as a separate feature. And the third level is basically empty empty modules. They don't have any source files or resources. They're just responsible for building either instant APKs or regular APK for installable applications. So the configuration changes are a little bit different if we look at them. So our build.gradle file of the base module would have the feature com.android .feature. And just the same way we've done in the single feature instant app, we have to set the attribute base feature to true in the default config of the Android closure. And again, this is important just because we have a lot of modules, and so that they didn't get lost, right, in your application. They have this root, right, that they can refer to, and this is basically our base module. Then in the dependencies block, we have to tell our base module that there are some feature modules that would depend on it. So the configuration feature project would require you to specify all the feature modules that we've built earlier. Another important configuration that I would love to pay your attention to is application project. And this configuration is useful if your current installable application has multiple flavors, right? And you want to make sure that these flavors will be propagated within your instant application. Just because we usually differentiate different flavors, right, by different application IDs. Applications IDs are being stored within our app module. So to propagate those applications IDs and make sure that flavors are being supported on instant apps, you have to tell the base module where app module lives so that it could pull the application IDs. Build.gradle file of the feature module, we have a plugin com.android.feature. In the dependencies block, you see there is not really much left. You just have to specify that feature would depend on the base module. Well, if your feature uses the dependency that is not being used by other features, you can also specify a dependency here. Build.gradle file of the app module would have our well-known plugin com.android.application, but in the dependencies, we don't really need to specify library dependencies anymore. We just have to tell the app module that it would depend on all the feature modules, right? It's PLP, PDP, card, and order detail in our case, and the base module. Basically the same thing as we've done with the diagrams. And then build.gradle file of the instant app module would have a new plugin com.android.instantApp, but in the dependencies block looks very much like the app module. We just have to specify that it depends on the feature modules and the base module. Size constraint. So we've talked about 4 megabyte size limit within our single feature instant app, right? And what about multi-feature instant app? So in multi-feature instant app, when a user clicks on the URL address, it's not only a feature module that is being downloaded on the device. It's a combination of the base module and feature module, right? Because as you remember from the diagram, all the features would depend on the base module. So it's actually a combination of the base module and feature module on the first download. On the subsequent downloads, it will be just the feature module because the base module is usually cached after the first download, and then the user will just download features as they are being triggered by the URL address. So just keep in mind that it's not 4 megabytes per base module and per feature module. It's 4 megabytes per base module and feature module. Just keep it in mind. And again, Android Studio provides a super useful tool, which is APK Analyzer, that will help you to keep track of the size of the instant app. But the bad news is that you have to look at the raw file size, not the download size, which is unfortunate because the download size is less than the raw file size. Anyway, this is what we're given. This is what we have to work with. Otherwise, Google basically won't let you to upload your instant app to the Google Play Store within the instant app channel. So, and I think this is probably one of the most useful parts of the presentations where I mentioned that 4 megabyte size limit is very important and we have to stick to it. We don't have an option, right, by how we can get there. And yeah, when I took over Instant App project, I was a little bit scary. I thought it's a 4 megabyte size limit. Like, who thought about that number? It's like, this is so unrealistic. But this is the steps that we've taken, and I hope these tips will help you to reduce the size of your application. So the first thing to do is please review all your dependencies. Make a list of all the dependencies you are pulling into your regular installable application and you evaluate each and every of them. So a few examples that what we've done, right? There is a list of features that are currently not being supported by Instant Apps. One of them is notifications, right? So you definitely don't need that logic and notification libraries probably that you're currently using within your installable application. So just strip it off from Instant Apps. In our case, we used AppBoy SDK to handle our notification logic. So we basically still keep it within our regular installable application, but we stripped it out from Instant App. Another example is we're an e-commerce company, right? We have a lot of analytics and marketing libraries. We have like 3 crash reporting, like New Relic, Firebase, Fabric. But in reality, in their core, they do the same thing, right? So you don't really need to keep all of them within your application, Instant App. So just remove all of them and keep one of them. ProGuard. We know that it's quite a pain to maintain it, right? Nobody want to deal with ProGuard. Nobody want to deal with adding ProGuard rules. But within Instant Apps, when you're trying to slim down the application size, ProGuard can be of huge benefit for you. Make sure you will shrink down your resources and start using vector durables. So when I started to reduce the size of my application and I was using APK Analyzer to figure out what actually was taking more memory than anything else, it's all about resources. It's all about JPEGs, PNGs, and JPG files. So make sure that you are starting to use vector durables. If you do need some complex images, make sure you will convert PNGs to WebPs. And again, WebPs 2x smaller than PNGs. You can do that right within the Android Studio. Just right-click on the PNG file, and there will be an option to convert it to WebP. The process of building Instant App is very similar to the process of building regular installable application. So you will get an APK, but instead of getting one APK, you will get as many APKs as there are feature modules plus a base APK, which makes sense, right? So when a user is downloading an Instant App, you don't want to download the whole APK, right? You want to download a feature APK. So that's the reason they are being packaged separately, and then all of them are being bundled up together in a zip bundle. And then the zipped bundle, you will need to upload to the Google Play Store within the Instant App channel. There is a super helpful that we used a lot is Instant App that takes context. So this method is you to figure out, is your user running within Instant App context or is your user running within your installable application context? Another use case for this method would be probably when you want to separate analytics data, right? You don't want to really bundle the same analytics data combine analytics data for your installable application and Instant App, right? In order to keep them separate and basically analyze how beneficial Instant App is for you, just make sure you will separate it. Instant App doesn't really have to be a fully fledged app. So don't think that if your current installable application has 15 features, your Instant App needs to have 15 features. No. So Instant App can be a very lightweight version of your application. So you can probably, instead of supporting 15 features, support 3 features. And once your user starts to engage with the Instant App experience and love it, you can prompt users to install a regular application. So, and again, there is a super helpful method provided by the API, which is show install prompt. And the users don't have to go to the Google Play Store to install. Everything is done right within Instant App experience. So I feel like it's super useful method that you can utilize in your, within your Instant App, especially if it doesn't support all the features that your current installable application supports. So Instant App currently is relying on Android Gradle plugin 3.0, which is currently in beta stage. And as you can probably guess, there are a lot of there are quite a few gotchas, issues, crashes, and probably questions that may arise when you start building Instant App. And yeah, there were some bugs that took me a few days to fix and basically figure out what's going on. So in the next few slides, I would love to share all of those gotchas, right, that I ran into. And I hope in this case, I will save your time when you will be making your apps instant. So one of the errors that I ran into was I'm building my Instant App, and you can see that the version code is specified as 0, which is inconsistent with the version code 494, right? And so my first intuitive thought would be, so I need to go to my base module, right, which is core, the foundation of the whole application, and see whether my version code is 0, right, because this is what basically the error tells me. So and as you can probably guess, I was able to verify that the version code set in the base module was 494. But when I started to look deeper into the problem, I realized that this version code is being pulled from the PDP module, right, from one of my feature modules. So why is it 0, right? So if I set my version code in the base module, and base module is the foundation for all the other feature modules, why version code is not being pulled from the base module, right? It doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense to anybody. Google is working to fix this error. And a quick workaround for this, instead of, so in order to resolve this issue, you have to specify version code and version name manually within each and every feature module. So ideally, it should be pulled from the base module. Currently, this is not the case. So in order not to run into this version code 0, which is specified as the default version, make sure you will set version code manually within each and every feature modules. ProGuard. So we had our we had ProGuard enabled in our regular installable application. It was working fine, but in Instant Apps, we started to run into no such error methods, no such field name errors. And the reason why is that so, ProGuard is not really smart enough to figure out the dependencies between the base module and the feature module. So it strips out a lot of code that is really necessary. So in order to solve this issue, you just have to add some extra ProGuard tools to your ProGuard files within the application. One of my probably least favorite bug that took me some time to figure out what's going on was I'm running an Instant App, and there is an error where the resource is not being found. And again, my first intuitive thought would be I have to open the file where I defined my toolbar to see whether there is a widget toolbar, right, and whether there is an ID, r.id toolbar. And as you can probably guess, I was able to verify that there is a resource file, there is a widget toolbar, and the ID is a toolbar. So when I started to look deeper into the error, the problem was that the file where I'm defining the resource is actually being located within my base module, but I'm using it within my feature modules. So, and just because base module and feature modules would have different package names specified within the manifest file, right? There will be different resource packages generated for the base module and feature modules. So instead of just specifying the ID, you have to specify a full ID of the resource. And the full ID is usually prefixed by the package name of the, by the package name, which is specified usually in the Android manifest. So again, this is just for the cases where you're defining the resource in the base module, but you're using it within the feature modules. You have to specify the full resource ID, not a short one that you would usually normally see within the XML file. Unfortunately, reusable layouts are not being supported in feature modules, so merge and include tags will throw a lot of resource errors. So it's not an issue in base module. Please feel free to use reusable layouts in base module. In feature modules, there will be a lot of resource errors. Google is aware of it, is trying to fix that. Unfortunately, I don't have a quick workaround to fix for that. What I ended up doing to unblock myself and basically release Instant Apps is I started to nest the layouts. I know it's not the prettiest solution, but at least this is what helped me to keep going. And probably my favorite and the last bug that I would love to share today is I'm building instant apps. Everything is running, nothing is crashing, but you don't see anything. So, and the problem is instant app requires secure networking. So make sure all your networking is done through encrypted TLS protocols, such as HTTPS. HTTP is no-go for instant apps. So let's sum up with some benefits. Instant app, one of the main gains that we actually one of the main benefits that we got when building instant app was size reduction. So we were able to reach that a little bit less than 4 megabyte size limit within our instant app. And our regular application size went down from 17 megabytes up to 7 megabytes, as far as I remember. So it has been a huge reduction from us. And at the same time, we went from multi-dex to a single dex, which was also impressive and important. We've done a lot of modularization. So we went from one monolithic app where basically there was a lot of junk stuff and it was really hard to understand what's going on, right? Currently, our app project structure is such a delight to work with. Each and every feature is packaged separately. So all new developers that join team don't have any issues basically reading the code base and understanding what's actually going on. Definitely there has been a lot of code cleaning up when we were building instant apps. Instant app requires some features integrated by default. And one of the features are Smart Lock, another one is Google Payments. And as you can think, they are truly necessary in order to provide a seamless experience. So Smart Lock helps you to basically make your users enjoy this freeless account management and no need to log in, so everything is handed over to the Smart Lock API. Google Payments is responsible, as the name probably stands for the seamless checkout process. From the business side, our conversion rate increased by 27%, right? Which is a huge number if you think about it, right? In comparison with mobile web, 27%, it's crazy. We couldn't believe it. First, we thought that no, numbers, we're messing somewhere. And then there was like a lot of investigation and we actually were able to prove that it's truly 27%. Our card size got increased by 7%. So the users enjoy this delightful instant app experience so much that they're spending more time within instant app. They're spending more money within our application, which is pretty cool. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for your time. If you have some questions, you can definitely reach out to me at Twitter, but I guess we have a few minutes left here.
10 minutes.
Yeah, awesome, 10 minutes for the questions. Hi.
I have a few questions, actually.
Sure.
How's it with security and hardware access? If you would like to use like a camera or something, that could be tricky.
Sure. No, basically you have to enable just the regular permissions, right, that are being supported like Marshmallow and up, right, regular on-request permissions. Yeah, you can easily access camera. There are no problems with like hardware access.
Okay, then session handling, could you go you log in?
Sure.
And then you can go from the instant app and then decide to actually use the full app. Can you take your session and authentication with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's done pretty seamlessly. So that prompt that I've shown you, right? Just once you click install the app, all the information is being transferred to the regular installable application. Because basically they share the same IDs, right? Application IDs. In reality, it's the same application.
And one last question would be, are you bound to Google Pay because you advertised it? And it's a Google. I guess they host it. They host the instant app. So are you bound to Google Pay, or can you just use what you want?
Sure. So it's a very interesting question. So definitely, we had a lot of users, right, that already, for example, on mobile web, right, had their cards added, right. So all the cards, credit cards or like debit cards that the users already had within their account are being supported, right. Even if they are not supported, if they have not been added through instant apps, they will still be supported. The users will be able to access all the payment methods that have been added earlier. The issue with not the issue, but the specificity of instant app is that you're not allowed to add a new payment method without Google Payment API. So everything has to go from that point, yes, through Google Payment. Yeah.
Okay, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, in which module does your base application live? And I guess how does that affect how you create your dependency graph?
Sure. So currently, basically, the question is in which module?
Create a Gradle module.
Yeah, so basically base module, right, is an independent module, right? Mm-hmm. It will have its own, it's independent module of the project structure, right? And it will have in the builder Gradle file, you just have to specify the module, the plugin, which is like a feature plugin, and set the attribute base feature. So it's its own independent module.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
You may extend like the application class, like you subclass the application class and maybe create your own.
Sure. Yeah, it lives in the base module. Application class has to live within the base module, right?
Yep.
Sure. Sorry, what's
and then how do you manage, do you use Dagger 2 at all?
Yeah, currently we're using Dagger 1, unfortunately. So
Okay.
with Dagger 1, what we've ended up doing is we're basically creating subgraphs, right? And everything is being injected within the application. So in the application class, we're basically keeping that reference to...
You have like a map of
exactly.
key for each feature?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, thank you for the talk.
Sure, thank
really
you.
nice. So let's say that your application is 7 megabytes. Is it worth it to do instant apps? And the other question is, what happens when you update a dependency in the base module? Is it an incremental update, or is the whole package with the base module and the features downloaded again in order to update the instant app?
Sure. So in terms of like incremental upgrade, right? So we're using Gradle 3.0, right? So and it's being controlled by the API versus implementation configurations, right? That you have to tweak. So depending whether you're setting API or you're setting implementation, right? It would basically either recompile everything, right? Or it will be like an incremental build. Again, it depends on you and how you include the dependencies, right? Within your builder Gradle file. Sorry, what was the first question?
The first one was, if your app is, let's say, 7 megabytes, is it worth it to
Sure.
make it?
Is it currently 7 megabytes? I mean, we had 17 megabytes, which is like twice more than you guys have. Yeah, absolutely. Go for instant apps. If you run into some issues where you want to like a session where you need some guidance, I would be more than happy to assist and basically, debug with you or provide some assistance. Absolutely. 7 megabytes is nothing. You have just 3 megabytes to basically strip out. It's nothing. We had to remove 10 megabytes, which was...
It was 21 megabytes, but with ProGuard and a lot of work, it came down to 7. So now an instant app will be...
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey. I just wanted to ask how long it took for you guys to convert this entire thing into instant apps.
What basically, why did we decide?
No, how long did it take? The
Oh,
process
how
itself.
long?
Yeah.
How long? It's an interesting question because we were actually early access partners with Google. So we were given API and experimental tooling at early stages. And there were honestly a few iterations of instant apps. So the tooling that all of you will get right now is not what we were working at the very beginning. So probably the timing, if I say that it took us probably, I don't know, like 4 months, wouldn't be really realistic because the way it was working. So we were building, we're running into an issue, we're reporting it to Google. Google is saying, okay, let's probably patch it or let's shift to something different. But like rough estimation, if your app is modularized, it probably would take you less than a few days to convert it into instant apps. If your app is not modularized, I would probably say around 4 weeks. But again, a lot depends on like how complex your app is. Like it's super relative to what you already have and how it functions.
Also, you mentioned that from a multi-dex app, it went down to a single-dex app. Is that a requirement, or
No.
was it
I mean,
just a coincidence?
Actually, that's a good question. Well, but having 4 megabytes, I mean, eventually you will be a single DEX, right? I don't think, you will like with 4 megabytes, how do you want to go into multi-DEX?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
We're at time, but feel free to just talk to her.
Yeah. I will just hang around here, guys, if you have some questions and would love to ask me. Yeah.